Well. Sunday Adelaja here. Welcome to another day of glory. Another day of great blessing. Who is going to be the first person we're going to welcome today? Who's not yet? Shegu Patumo. How are you today? Victor Gudikwe, Peter Ayodele, Bosse Fayajola, Nikki Okoro, Tiger Diepre, Alewu Okwa, Eric Lindu, Pastor Irene Adetoro, Oluwatoyin, Lola Shorunke, Fumi Adewusi, Demidenko Yuri, Winifred Akwan, Nira Kolawole, Anu Ojo, Victor Ramirez, Osei Bonsu, David Ohi Noyi. Okay, Shegun Fatima is saying something here. Happy weekend, Pastor. Another busy Saturday for you. The joy of the Lord is your strength. Thanks for all your investment in coaching us. God bless you, sir. Thank you so much. That is so kind of you. Thank you. All right, I want you to go ahead and look for your share button right now. If you don't mind, go look for the share button for this program. Go share the link. Because today, I want to warn you, if you know anyone, take your telephone and call them. I just want to beg you. If you love anyone, if there's anyone you know and you love them, and they are and they have computer and they are on the internet, please go call them right now before I begin. Because today's message, I mean, people will not forgive themselves if they miss it. People will not forgive themselves if they miss it. So today's message is so vital, is so critical, it's going to be so life-changing that please, I'm warning you ahead of time. If you have family members, let them leave out everything they are doing right now. Let them just come and join you. Or if you have anyone you could call, even if they are living in other countries, call them right now and find out what they are doing. If they are not too busy, if they can afford to just get out 1 hour out of their time, just tell them, put on your phone, put on your Facebook right now. Don't just share the link. Go ahead and share the link. But go pick your phone and go call everybody you really care for. If you don't care for them, you might not need to call them. But if you care for them, if you love them, if you really care for them, for their success and victory in life, go call them. It doesn't matter if they have a good job, if they don't have a job. It doesn't matter what the title of the message is. It's not about the title right now, but it's about what you're about to know. It's about what you're about to learn. So go look for anyone that you really care for. If you care for anyone, pick your phone right now and go and call as many of them as possible and tell them, even if they will never listen to Pastor Sunday again, but this one, they have to listen to it. Even though we're still going to have the recording, but this is going to be a live one and the advantage of the live recording is that they could actually ask their questions as we are going on. They could actually, find out what they are not clear about, what is not clear to them. And so go get all your friends and share the link and let everybody that you care for have an opportunity to be part of this, because this message is going to be life-changing. I don't normally say this. I am saying this actually for the first time, that go pick your telephone and call your friends to go on. Even if they have never done it before, let them come on right now. And there is a reason for it, because by the time we are through, you will understand the reason why. So, but the message of today, the title for today's message is, why losing your job is the best thing to happen to you. Why losing your job could be the best thing to happen to you. Why losing your job could actually be the best thing to happen to you. Why losing your job could be the best thing to happen to you. That is good. Somebody is saying it's 2:30. That is Dylan Lagoga. What time? It's 2:30 a.m. for Dylan right now, and she's listening to it. That should be in America somewhere. You know, it's worth it. I'm sure, even if you need to miss your engagement the day, but you will discover that it's worth it soon. So the message of today is why losing your job could be the best thing to have ever to happen to you. Why losing your job could be the best thing to happen to you. Now, let's continue our teaching today. Why could that be the best thing? Why should you rejoice when you lose your job? Why could losing your job be the best thing to have ever happened to you? I mean, that's like a tragedy for a lot of people. Why is Pastor Sunday saying losing your job could be the best thing to have ever happened to you? These are going to be very potent reasons, very potent arguments that I'm about to present here today to all of you. And it doesn't just matter for people that have job or don't have job. This is not about that right now. This is about, life lessons that will go a long way to change your life. Now, number one reason why losing your job could be the best thing that has happened to you is that, listen and write this down if you want. The number one reason why losing your job could be the best thing that has ever happened to you is that because you have just lost your job, you now have access to as much time as you wish and as you could have. So losing your job gives you time, or gives you access to time, unlimited amount of time. Now, why is that important? And that is why I want everybody to listen to this. Either you have a job or you don't have a job. I want to talk to you today why, the resource of time is, and for you to have that resource of time could be the best thing to ever happen to you. The ability to value time and the ability to understand time. If you know what time is, you will do everything possible to look for it. If you know what time is, you will do everything possible to fight for it. If you understand the message that I will be teaching you today, you will be willing to come over to Ukraine to just learn more, or you will do everything. You would be willing to fly to the other part of the world just to discover this truth, and you are discovering it right now in your own house. So why is losing your job the most important thing that could ever happen to you? The most important blessing that could ever happen to you? One, write this down. This is because time is the resource from which everything is made. I'm not sure you heard that. Time is the resource from which everything is made. Let me say it again. Time is the resource from which everything is made. Let me put it in a different way. Time is the material from which everything is made. Let me put it in another way. Everything you see is a product of time. Time is what produces everything. You are a product of time. Time created you. Everything you see, that house you are living in right now, that house you are living in, this house that I'm living in, that house is made out of time. It's a product of time. That car that is out there that I'm saying, that car that you have in your garage, that car that you are using, that car that you have, it's a product of time. It's made out of time. Time is the material from which everything is made. Your husband, your wife, your kid, your children, they are created out of time. Just like fish is created out of water. Everything else that we see is a creation of time. This shirt that I'm wearing is created out of time. Everything. This book, actually, let me show you this book, because this is talking about calling. This is my latest book talking about who you are, who am I. Everything you see. This book here, we see it as material. We see it as physical, as tangible, but it's created out of the intangible. It's created out of time. It's a product of time. What else? What else? Everything you say is a product of time. Now, let's use the example of the book, just to bring the point home to you. Let me use the example of the book. How is this book a product of time? Any book or any product, or this iPad that you am using to broadcast to you, or the computer, or anything. Why is everything a product of time? Everything is a product of time. Everything is a product of time because, like, let's say this book, for example, this book was written over a period of time. This book was written over a period of time. And that is, if there was no, okay, this book, I wrote this book in a period of 1 month. 1 month. So this book is a product of time. But not just the time it took me to write it, but the time it took for the correctors to correct it, for the editors to edit it, the time, but that is just one aspect of time, the time it took me to write the book. So that way, this book is a product of time. But besides that, the paper that this book is made of, this physical paper that you see, the paper that was used to print and publish this book, this paper is a product of time. Because for you to be able to, this paper, for you to be processed and to become paper, white paper like this that we're using, writing to it, somebody needed to spend their time and their life in producing it, in working in the mills, in the sawmills. People have to work in the sawmills. They have to work in the factory to process the book, the paper. So just the paper itself is a product of time. Because before the paper was made, before time was dedicated to produce, before the time was given to produce it in the mills and in the factory, that time, that paper was simply a tree, in the bush somewhere, a timber, a tree in the forest. But because time was created and time was given to go to cut down the tree, that is, time was needed to cut down the tree. The tree is just growing naturally. It didn't cost anything, right? The tree is not costing anything, but it cost somebody time to go cut down that tree. Now, after cutting down the tree, it cost somebody time to transport that tree from the bush, from the forest, to the mill, to the factory. And then we needed time to just dry the tree. And then we needed time to process the tree. And people are investing their time. They are giving their time to processing that tree, to processing it and to making it into paper. And for the paper to be made into rolls, from which we have what we could now use to print books, some people dedicated their time for it. So when you now see this book and somebody says it's costing $20, it is not just the information that is inside that is costing that $20. It is the time that was spent to produce the book. And the people who spend their life and their time to produce the book, that's why it's costing $20. But the information also is a product of time. Even the information that you see here, the information that the book possesses, is made out of time. Okay, where did I get the information from? because I dedicated time, I gave time to study. I dedicated my life, I dedicated my time into research, into studying. The amount of time, the subtotal amount of time that I used to study is what gave me the knowledge. Is what added the value to me. And that knowledge, then I still needed time to sit down to put that knowledge that I already got inside me into this book. So the time that I spent, the time that the laborers spent to produce the book, to process the paper, and then after I've written it down, there are some people who need to print it. That is time. So everybody is spending time. So everything that we have today, everything that we see today is a product of the time well spent or spent by some people to have what we have. And that is why we buy it for money. And that is why it's costing what it's costing. Now, let's talk about a car. Let's talk about a car. Why is your car costing so much? Why is your car costing so much? That car, is it not made from materials that are natural, raw materials? From the soil, from the rocks, from the from oil, and from other raw materials. Well, yeah, the raw materials seem to be raw, like they are free, but some people devoted their time to extract those raw materials, then to process that raw material. Why is the car so expensive? The time it costs in producing it, the amount of time that was spent in producing it, and the amount of time that the people who produce that car, okay, for example, for the book, to produce the car, produce this book, people need to spend maybe 100 hours, but to produce the car, maybe they need to spend 10,000 hours. But if we only need 5 people or 4 people to spend their time to produce this, but to produce the car, maybe you need 1,000 people to spend their time to produce it. So the time that was spent by so many people is the subtotal of that time is what gives us the product that we have. Now, the point I'm making is this. Everything you see in this world is made out of time. Time is the resource that gives birth to everything. Time is the resource through which we have everything that we have. So how does that relate to you and your job, losing of your job? And how is that translating to the fact that the loss of your job could be the best thing that has ever happened to you? The reason is because when you lose your job, you are given access to unlimited amount of time. When you lose your job, you become the owner of such amount of time that is unbelievable. You become the owner of such a vast amount of resource, a vast amount of money, of resource that is greater than money. Because even money itself is made out of time. Even money itself is a product of time. Just like this book is a product of time, just like this iPad, this computer we're using here is a product of time, this iPad is a product of time, so also is money. Money is a product of time. So we should not take money and elevate it above time. It's like saying a room in the house is more important than the house. It's not possible. Because if there is no house itself, what is a room? So to say money is more important than time is to or say that a room in a house is more important than the whole house. We know that if there is no house, there is no room. And if there is no time, there is no money. Time is only what you get in exchange for the time. Money is just what you get. Money is simply what you get in exchange for the time that was spent. So money, therefore, is created out of time. When time is invested, for example, I spend time to write this book. Because I spent time to write the book, because of time, I have the book. And because I spent time to write the book, you have access to the book. And because you see the book now you can give me money for the book. Money, therefore, is a product of the time that I spent. So money is a compensation I get for my time that I used to write this book. Money is not just a product that it's not just a product of the time I spent to write the book. Money also is the compensation for the time I spent I invested to gain the knowledge that I have. So the time that I gave to gain the knowledge that I have, when I now produce the book, you are compensating me for my time that I used to study, and for my time that I used to write, and for the time that is used to process. So money is only a little compensation for the time that is spent to produce the product. So everything in life is derived from time. So therefore, when you lose your job, and I say that is the greatest thing that could ever happen to you. When you lose your job, it's the greatest thing that could ever happen to you. When you lose your job, it's the greatest thing that could ever happen to you. You begin to understand why. Because now you are set free from every other thing that is distracting you, and you are put face to face with an unlimited access of wealth. You are left face to face with an unlimited amount of resource. And that resource is the greatest resource that is in the world. That resource is time. From time, you could get anything you want. From time, you could create money. From time, you could create any product. I started to talk to you about my book, that time is this resource from which everything is created, including my book, that this book is made out of time, because it took time for me to write it. And so is with everything. Now, let's keep on saying. Another reason, one other thing you should know about time is that it's not just the knowledge that is in this book that it took time to get. And when you are paying me for it. So when I lose my job, therefore, I am set free to decide what I want to do with that wealth of time that I have. Every minute of your time should be converted to some product. It is the minute and the time of my life that I use to convert. When I converted my time into writing, through writing, I converted my time into, I got this book. When I convert my time into studying, I become who I am. I become wise. So wisdom, time therefore is being converted to wisdom. So when you lose your job, you could now convert your time into anything you want. When you lose your job, you have the resource through which you could create yourself, your new self, a new you. So you could spend time to make an inventory of yourself. You could spend time to create a new person. You could create the wisest man in the world if you want. Through you, from you. You could convert your time to make yourself the best engineer in town. You could convert your time to make yourself the wisest man in a particular sphere of life. But first of all, what you need to do is when you lose your job, you need to first of all find time to discover, to convert time, use time to discover who you are. You need to convert time to discover yourself. And I already said that I gave the teachings on how to discover who you are, how to discover your calling. I already gave the teachings. If you miss the teachings, if you don't have the teachings, go to my blog, sundayadelajablog.com. To my blog, sundayadelajablog.com, or to YouTube, and find out all those teachings, how to discover yourself. So what you do is that you take the teachings and the materials, and you go and devote your time and listening to the material and discovering your time. So that time is the time that you have, let's say 2 months or 2 weeks. That 2 weeks could be devoted, and you convert that 2 weeks to discover who you are. You see, there are three things you could do with time. And that's what most people are doing. They don't know what to do with time. That's the tragedy of life. Most people are wasting their time. What does wasting time mean? Wasting time is when a second is passing by, a minute is passing by, an hour is passing by, days are passing by. Let's say seconds and minutes are passing by without being converted to anything. When minutes and days, hours are passing by, let's say seconds and minutes are passing by you in your life. They are passing by and they are not being converted into anything. That is when time is wasted, and that is when life is wasted, because time is a subtotal of life. Life is a subtotal of time. So life itself is a subtotal, is a totality of time. So when seconds and minutes pass by and you don't think that minute and that second is not being converted, you are wasting life and you are wasting time. That is one thing you could do with time, to waste time. And that is what the whole world is doing. People just waste time and they don't even know it. The next thing you could do with time is to spend time. To spend time. And one thing you do with time, when you spend time, when you are giving away your time, you are spending your time for something for which you are later compensated a little bit. Like, for example, when you go to a job, you go to spend time. You are spending your time for somebody else. You are using up your time to be compensated. So when you go to a work, for example, you work for a whole day, and you are given $10 for that day. You went to spend your time on somebody else's assignment. So you're spending time. Let's say your life, this is your life, like I always say, this is your life. The water inside it is the time, which is your life. So you went and gave 1 day of work, then you give 1 month of work, you are spending it, you are spilling it out. But for that little 1 month that you gave of your life and of your time, you are compensated. You giving salary, maybe $1,000 or $2,000 for the amount of time you spend. That is spending time. You spend time. So spending time, you can see that you are at least compensated. It's not the best use of time, because it's just little compensation for it. You are being given something to just appease you. You are being given something just to give you an illusion that you are not wasting time. Yes, you are not wasting time. You are getting something for it, but spending time is actually not the best thing you could do with time. The best thing you could do with time is to invest time. And the best investment you could do with time is to invest time in yourself. To invest your time in discovering who you are. And once you have discovered who you are, to invest time in your discovery, in your land of promise. You see, when God put Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden, He told them to till their ground. They should invest their life, their energy, their time in tilling their own territory, in their own land of promise, their own gifting, their own calling, their own purpose. It's the same thing with you. The best investment you could do is for you not to spend it, because when you go to work and you are compensated, you are giving salary, and you are giving payment, or you go to job, you are just giving some compensation, but your life is dwindling. Your life is going. Your life in the next 10 years, 20 years, your life would have been gone, and you don't have anything to do because you've gotten the salary, you've gotten compensation, just a little compensation for it. But when you invest your life, you actually multiplying your life. Your life is being productive. When you go and sow in your land brings forth trees, and that land brings forth fruit, and those trees bring forth fruits, and that means you are actually multiplying your life, and that tree brings, those fruits bring forth forest and multiplication. You occupy the land. So the purpose of work is for you to labor and invest your time, your life, in your gift, in your calling, so that you multiply yourself, you reproduce yourself, and you occupy the earth with your multiplication of self and of your gift. So what most people do, so for example, when I sat down to write my book, I was investing my life. For the best investment you could do with your life is to discover who you are. Like I said, first of all, because I discover who I am, I discover my gift, I discover why I am good, and I told you where to get that already. I have a whole series of teachings on SundayAdelajablog.com on calling and purpose and your calling, how to discover your calling, how to discover who you are. Once you have discovered who you are, then the next thing you have to do is to create yourself, is to add value to yourself. How do you add value to yourself? You go, for example, I know I want to become a writer, or I want to become a speaker. So I go and add value to myself. I am exchanging my time to gain knowledge. I am using my time, a certain amount of time, to gain wisdom. I am spending time, but not really spending, because I'm using the time to invest wisdom into myself. Using the time, converting the time into assets to myself. Converting the time into knowledge. Converting the time into wisdom. I'm converting the time into value. I am using the time that I could have wasted sleeping, the time I could have wasted doing another man's job, the time I could have wasted just getting compensated for something. I'm using that time to add value to myself, to create myself, the type of myself that I want in the future, the myself that I want to see that I want to see, myself that is respected, myself that can be respected by me, myself that is already, so weighty inside, that is so wise inside, that I could now use my own added value to myself. I can now use it to pull down a book and write this book. So I am now investing myself. I've invested in myself. I am now investing in my gift by writing the book. And when I wrote the book, I didn't spend the time. I invested it because I'm using this book to multiply, to reproduce myself. So through this book, I've reproduced myself. So this is what work is supposed to be meant for. And time, I used the time judiciously to invest. I invested in myself by getting knowledge. Then I invested in myself by discovering my gift. I invested in myself time by using that time to write book. I reproduced myself, this reproduction of myself. But apart from reproducing myself, I have now produced the book. Now I'm marketing the book, which means I am multiplying myself. So that's what all that is time. So why should you rejoice when you lose your job? Why should you because you have all the time that you could use to create the kind of product that you want. If I had been working 8 hours a day, I would not have had the time to write so many books. But because I am the owner of my life, the owner of my time, now I can add value to myself, I can discover who I am, and I can use the time that I have, that God has given me, to convert it into any product I want. I could use my time to convert it into a book. I could use my time to convert it into making cake, or into making any product that you are called to make. You could use your time to build a house. You could use your time to build your computer. You could use your time to do anything that you feel God has called you to do. So it is not just, like I told you, that this book is a product of time. You understand that already? Now, when you buy this book, even for the value in the book and the wisdom in the book to become yours, you still need time. So time is needed for you to really even take and derive from this book. Time is needed for you to derive the wisdom. So without reading the book, even though you have the book, but wisdom is a result of time spent on the book. So you have the book, but you don't have the wisdom. So it is not money that you spent on the book that gives you the benefit of the book. Everything you have, money doesn't really give you much. You see, some people cry because when they lose their jobs, they cry for the money they lose. But the money is not as valuable. For example, okay, if let's say you go to work and you get your salary and you didn't lose you are getting salary. Okay, you use your salary to buy a book. The fact that you use your salary to buy that book doesn't mean that you will gain and get the purpose and the thing that you wanted to get from the book. What do you need to get the wisdom you need from the book? It is only when you invest time and spend time to read the book that you gain the benefit of the book. So it is not the money you spend on the book that gives you the benefit of the book. It is until you spend time, you don't get the benefit of the book. It is the time that you spend on the book that gives you the benefit of the book. More so, if you, for example, the person who spent the time just to read this book, maybe you spent 5 hours to read the book and you just read it one time, you will get something from the book, but you will get less than the person who spends 20 hours to research the book, to meditate upon the book, to digest the book, to do the practical work in the book, to answer the questions of the book, to who spend time to make sure that he practices what is written in the book. That person, because he has spent more time on the book, the time that he has spent, the value of the time he has spent is giving him more value. The time he has spent is giving him more value, more wisdom, more strength, more grace, more power than the person who just went through the book. So the amount of time that is spent in life is what really adds value to you, is what really benefits you. Let's say, okay, some people are saying, if I lose my job, I lose my I don't have money to bring food to the table. And that is one of the reasons why we think that losing a job is a tragedy. But if let's say you don't lose your job and you are working at your work and you are using your money to bring food to the table, but that food is nothing until you give time to cook that food. So it is not really the money that you use to bring the food to the house, or you to buy the food with, that is the best quality that you have. That is the best reward that you have. The value of that food will come to you only when you spend time. When you spend time to cook the food, to process the food, and when you spend time, even after spending time to cook the food, you will still need to spend time to eat. So it is the time that you spend to eat the food that gives you the benefit of the food. So everything is a product of time. There is nothing as valuable as time. Everything comes from time. So the question now is, what are you doing your time? What are you using your time for? Either you are using your time, you are wasting your time. What is wasting of time? Wasting of time is when seconds and minutes are passing by and they are not being converted to anything. At least they should be converted to something. Even if it's going to be for a job or to get salary, at least it should be converted to something. When you are converting money, time, minutes to do a job or to work for somebody or for something, and you are getting salary for it, or you are just on a job, or you are training, at least that is spending time. You are spending time to get knowledge. You are spending time to get salary. That is, at least you are spending time. But the best thing to do with time is to invest time. And the way to do is there. There are 3 ways you can invest time. 3 ways you can invest time. three best things you could do with time. Three best ways you could invest your time. The number one way to invest time is this. The best things. So if you have 1 hour right now, like right now we are listening to me, you are listening to me, you are investing time. Okay, the first thing you could do, the best way to invest time is to invest time in yourself. That is what you are doing right now. You are investing time in yourself. You are adding value to yourself. You are getting yourself equipped. But the fact that you have just listened to me now, and you have invested 1 hour of your time to add value to yourself, to listen to me, to hear, to invest in your time, is better than the person who at that time is just doesn't even know what he's doing. He's just sitting down somewhere watching TV or doing something or just doing nothing. So your 1 hour that you are spending listening to me is more profitable than the person who was in the room that time just lying or just sitting down, or who just walking in the park or doing nothing. So your 1 hour has given you the same 1 hour. The person who is just walking about the seat and didn't even remember what he did for that 1 hour has not converted the time. The time has just been wasted for that person. But you who are spending this 1 hour, you have used this 1 hour to add value to yourself. But that is on one level. But the person who goes to take this teaching and goes to listen to it for another 3, 4, 5 hours, to go and work on it, to go and think over it, to go and meditate over it, to go and convert it into practical action, that person is going to get more value. Is going to have more value added to himself than you who just listen 1 hour to it and don't do anything and don't do anything further from it. So it is also added value, but it's on different levels. The more time you spend on a thing determines the value you get from it, determines how much benefit it will give you. Now, so there are three ways you could invest your time. The first way you could invest your time is to invest your time in yourself. That is adding value to yourself, improving yourself, getting skills, getting yourself better, making yourself better is one of the highest things you could do for yourself. Spending time, using that time, converting the time to adding to making yourself better, using time, exchanging the time, converting your time, every minute of your time, everything you hear, converting it and asking, what should that do for you? Everything you see, converting it, how can I use this for me? So you are using everything you see, everything you hear, every minute to think, to ask yourself question, how can I do this? What can I do with this? What is this good this give me? So you are using your time the best way possible to add value to yourself. So that's one way to invest time. The second way to invest your time is to invest your time to add value to others. Invest your time to add value to others. That is what I am doing to you now. I found a way. This my time. I could have just used it to just, be lying down in bed or just walking about my compound. But the time is passing. That 1 hour would have gone. But this 1 hour, because I'm using it to impart knowledge, to impart wisdom, to add value to people, so I am now being a blessing. I am sowing, I'm investing my life in you. I am investing my value in you. I'm investing my time in you. And because of that, I am gaining followership. I am gaining respect. I am gaining authority. I am gaining disciples. I am gaining people, songs for God. I am gaining creators. I am gaining writers, future world changers, history makers, shakers and movers. People who are going to change the lives of other people. People who are going to be better. Because I am investing my life in people, in people. Time. Just 1 hour. But because I am doing it over time, I'm just investing 1 hour in you, but I'm investing that 1 hour over time. I'm investing that 1 hour in the morning. I'm investing that 1 hour in the evening. Then I'm investing that 1 hour over months. So that time, consistency in investment of time produce quality product. And it produce quantity product as well. but it is all about time. There is no resource that is more important than time. So that is the second investment you could do with time. The third investment you could do with time, remember the first investment you could have to do with time, the best way to invest in yourself, add value to yourself. The second investment to do, add value to others, invest in people. The third investment, best investment you could do with your time is, but the most important thing, that never allow a minute to pass, never allow a second to pass without asking, what am I doing with this time now? Am I investing it, or I'm spending it, or I'm wasting it? What am I doing with this my minute? What am I doing with this my second? Am I adding value? When we are talking to people, are you adding value to yourself, or you are adding value to them? What are you doing with that second, with that minute? Are you wasting the minute? Is the minute just passing by? Is it being wasted, or is being invested, or is being invested? Either your money, your time is being invested, or it's being spent, or it's being wasted. So every minute, the key thing is that never you allow every minute to pass, or every second to pass, without you finding out what you are doing with that second or that time. When you are allowing time to pass, when you are allowing a minute or second to pass, you are killing the biggest resource possible in the world. You are wasting, you are throwing away the biggest money, the greatest wealth. Because even money and wealth is a product of time. It's derived from time. So it is that time that you are throwing away, the substance from which money is made. You are throwing away the substance from which fame is made. You are throwing away the substance from which popularity is made. When you throw away time, you are throwing away substance from which cars are made. You are throwing away a substance from which your iPads are made. You are throwing away the substance, the resource from which your house that you are living in and the other houses that are around that you are seeing is being built. You are throwing away the resource from which greatness is made. You are throwing away the resource from which everything is made. You are throwing you are throwing away the source of everything, the source of all things. That is time. Time is the source of all things. Time is the source of greatness. Every minute waste. While you are wasting it, somebody is converting it. That this 1 hour that we are here, someone is using it. You're also constructively. We are using it constructively, but other people are wasting it. They are laughing about it. They are jesting and guessing. But some people are using that 1 hour to convert, to do something else. That's the third thing you could do with investment. The third thing you could do with the third way you could invest your time is to invest your time in product, in producing product, in the process of production, in producing products or services. So, for example, when you have gotten the knowledge, but it has to go stage by stage. You have to first of all get knowledge, add value to yourself. Once you have added value to yourself, once you have made yourself better, you can also use that time. You can now go to another level of using your converted knowledge into yourself, the wisdom you have get, and use time to go and invest that time in the laboratory. You can go to the laboratory and spend time there. So 1 hour, you can spend 1 hour in the laboratory, 2 hours, 10 hours. What you are doing in the laboratory is that you are converting that time through experiments into products. Or you are converting the time to find out the things that could be done, or the things cannot be done, that cannot be done. You are converting your time to discover. You are converting your time for discovery. You are converting your time to discover new products, or ways that new products cannot be discovered, or the best way for new products to be discovered. You are converting your time to a product. Or you could go into your factory or into your library and begin to do whatever your calling is, and begin to convert that time into production of the product that you are supposed to produce in life. So the problem that I have with Christians is, what have they done? What do you do with your time when you go to churches every day? When you go to churches every week? When you go to churches 2 times a week? What product can you show me? What are the products I see? You're going to church 10 years, 5 years, 3 years. What are the products? Because if you are adding value to yourself, I must see it. That value must be able to produce product. must be able to produce, some results, must be able to produce some services. I must be able to see. It must, if your time is not, and your value is not being converted into tangible product, you cannot, you are not, you cannot prove to me that you are using your time judiciously. On earth, the greatest assessment of a value chain is to see the thing you have produced. You've got to tell me, you've got to show me the product. If I'm adding value, if you are adding value to yourself, if you are listening to me, the reason why you are listening to me is for you to add value to yourself. And if you have spent that time to listen to me, you have to make sure that you convert that knowledge you are getting from me into a product. And if you are not converting into a product, then you are wasting, you are just spending time or wasting time. So what happens when you lose your job is not a tragedy, because it gives you the access to the greatest wealth that is possible, that is out there, and that wealth could be converted into anything you want. It could be invested now better. It could either be invested in yourself, or it could be invested in others, or it could be invested in producing some products. That is what losing your job does for you. Okay, let's go back to the book. So the person who wrote the book this book is a product of time. It's a product of the time of the person who wrote the book, the people who worked to produce the book. And for you to get the wisdom that is in this book as well, you need it's only through time. Only when you spend time on it, you get wisdom from it, or you get value from it. And the value that you get from it depends on the amount of time. Again, it depends on the amount. It doesn't depend on what is written in it only, but the amount of time you spend to understand, to meditate upon what is written in it. That is why, because everything, the wisdom that you are going to get is going to come from time. Everything is a product of time. Even God himself, everything that we see, everything that God created, he created it as a product of time. In Genesis chapter 1, verse 1, the Bible says, in the beginning, God created. But in the beginning, the word beginning is talking about what? It's talking about time. It is time that gives God the ability to create every other thing. And the Bible also tells us that he created everything in 6 days. He created them time. He needed time. For example, if God says, God created man and woman, it took time. It took time for God to mold the man. So God used time and converted into man. Why is it that every pregnancy, I have a pregnant lady here, every pregnancy takes some time before a baby could come out? 9 months. Why is it that it's not 9 weeks for a baby to come out? Because time is what produces the baby. Even life of a child is as a result of time. When a baby is born, it takes a certain amount of time for that baby to begin to sit down. Why is it that a baby does not just sit down the next day he was born? Because everything is a product of time. Even the ability of that baby to become anything is only dependent on time. So it takes a certain amount of time for that baby to begin to sit down. And it doesn't change anywhere. It's the law of time, the wealth of time is what makes everything. Everything is dependent on that law of time. So for a baby to sit down, you need maybe 3 months. But that 3 months that the baby needs to sit down, or 6 months, is the same 3 months that is needed in Japan. It's the same. Even technological progress cannot change that time limit. So the same 3 months that is needed for a baby to begin to sit down in America is the same 3 months that they need in Africa or in Asia or in Europe. The same 9 months that is needed The same 9 months that is needed for a baby to come to life, to maturity, to be born, for pregnancy to get a baby, is the same 9 months that is needed. It doesn't matter how much food you eat. It doesn't matter how less food you eat. It doesn't matter what technology you have. It doesn't matter if you are a short woman or a small woman. Time is what produces a child. Time is what produces the baby's ability to be able to sit down. It is time that produces the baby's ability to begin. At a certain time, that baby will begin to grow teeth. And the same time in Africa, the same time in Asia, the same time in Europe. Why? Time is what creates everything. That is why God could not create anything before he created time. That is why the first thing God created was time. And that is told us in the word in the beginning. In the beginning. Everything comes out of time. So if you are being fired from your job, you are being put in a position of God. You are being placed in the same position that God placed himself in the beginning. If they fire you from your job, and you don't have job, you don't have to go to work, you have all the time, it's the same thing that God did. God had time in the beginning. In the beginning, God. So when you are fired from your job, it's just like saying, in the beginning, Sunday. Sunday and time. Sunday and the biggest wealth. Sunday and the biggest resource. And the next thing God did, that the Spirit of God was moving on the earth. What does that mean? Use your time, invest your time, start investing your time in solitude with your maker. Even God needed that time where we used the time, the Spirit of God. God and his Spirit. God and his Spirit. The Spirit of God was hovering over the earth. God needed that time for the Spirit of God. The solitude with the Spirit of God. The loneliness with God, so that he will get an idea, a picture in his mind. He needs to convert that time to get the picture of what he wants to do in the future. He needs to convert that time to get a picturist, a color picture, to image, to imagine what he needs to do. He needs to imagine the light coming. He needs to imagine the light being separated from the darkness. He needs to imagine the trees that he wants to create. He needs to imagine. So that is what having time is. And that is why the power of solitude is so important. To be able to unite, to go into solitude with knowledge. When you want to go into solitude, when you have time, when you are fired from your job or something, take 2 weeks, 1 month, or 3 weeks. Take all the books in the direction of your calling. Or let's say if you have not known your calling, take all the teachings that I've just given you. Or my book. Who I am, who am I? There is a link there on how to get it. Or just go to get my teachings for free of charge on my blog. Go and get all the teachings. Go somewhere with the resources that could add value to you. Go somewhere in a place where you could just shut out everything and just let the Spirit of God hover over you. Let the Spirit of God move over those knowledge you are bringing, those literature you are bringing, those cassettes you are hearing, and shut the old distraction out. Shut out the telephone calls, all the things, and get maximum concentration on the Spirit of God. Let the Spirit of God first of all create in you the value system. That's why you need the knowledge. That's why you need the revelation. That's why you need the wisdom. That's why you need as much knowledge as possible. Let the Spirit of God now move upon that knowledge. Let the Spirit of God steer that knowledge, and with the steering of that knowledge will create pictures in you. It will create understanding in you. It will create ideas in you. When you create that idea, the idea is not enough. Then you need to study more, do research to make sure that you turn the idea into picture, into image. And then when you already get the image, you are converting that time into product already in your mind. That is wisdom, because every house is built by wisdom. Wisdom is the ability to see the invisible, to see what other people are not seeing, to see what God is saying, and to be able to convert what you are seeing into action, into product. So That's one of the greatest things that could happen to you. So when you are fired from your job, you are like God. You can now stand with time and say, in the beginning, you have a new beginning to form yourself, a new beginning to create in you the same your ideal person. You could actually create yourself afresh, because right now you are only a product of your mom and your dad and the environment you are raised in. You are only a product of the country you are raised in. You are only a product of the schools you went to, of the environment you grew up in. But you could actually find time to now do an inventory of yourself. What are the things that are perfect in you? What are the things that are good in you? What are the things that are not so good in you? What is it that you like in your body? What are the things you don't like? What are the things you want to change in the way you look? What are the things you want to change in the way you act? What are the things you want to change in your character? What are the things you want to change in your destiny? What is the kind of destiny you want? Do an inventory of yourself. Write down the things you don't want, you want to get rid of, and the things that you want, and then the bad qualities that you want to be present in your life. Write them down. Then find out the ways and where you could get those qualities from. Gather the materials together and begin to spend time. Convert those materials through time. Use time to convert the material into the new person that you want to be. Then you will get your ideal man. That is the way to create your ideal person. So, by being fired, or you are provided with access with the greatest wealth that is out there, with the greatest resource that is out there. That resource you could use to create yourself. That resource you could use to create your ideal life. That resource you could use to add value to yourself. That resource you could paint a picture of the product that you want to give to the world, of the book you want to write, of the company you want to build, of the new nation that you want to change, of the millions that you want to touch, of the people, of thousands of destinies that you want to add value to, of how you could reproduce yourself, of how you could multiply yourself, of how you could dominate the earth for God, on how you could be like God. If you could actually use time, convert time to become a copy of God on the earth. You could use time and convert that time to copy God, to just spend time with God, to see God, behold God, and copy the character and the character traits and the characteristics of God and make them your own characteristics. Use time to convert the nature of God in you, to form the nature of God in yourself. You could actually use time to create God in yourself, to create the nature of God in yourself, the likeness of God in yourself. And then use that time, convert the time to reproduce yourself, and then to multiply yourself, to see how to multiply yourself, to then dominate the earth for God, to take back the earth for God, to convert the time into learning how to be an agent of the kingdom of God, to be a seeker of the kingdom. Seek after the kingdom, discover the kingdom, discover the king, discover his likeness, discover his image. Be a copy of God, and then begin to extend God, become a deliverer, become a savior. You can use time to do anything. You can use time to produce anything. You can use time to build your company. You convert your time to build your car, to build if that is your calling. Anything you are called to do, you need time to be able to convert that wealth. It's the greatest resource that is there. Like God was alone. In the beginning, God alone. But that was time. He had time. He had the greatest resource. And then he had the second resource, which is work. And we'll talk about work next time. When you have the combination of time and work, nothing can stop you. But the most important thing is that the most important value, which is time, every minute, the time comes in seconds and minutes. So you must make sure that you control yourself every time. You must always control yourself. What am I doing this minute? What am I doing this second? Am I converting it? What am I converting it to? Am I using it to add value to myself? Am I using it to give value to others? Am I using it to produce a product? Every second of your time, you must always control yourself to make sure that your time is being converted to something tangible, to a value chain. And that is why, one of the greatest things that could happen to you is the ability to discover that time, to have the time and to know what to do with it. Well, I'm so happy for you people who came today. Of course, I didn't. This is not the end of the message. I will continue it tomorrow morning. But tonight in the evening, you will hear the testimony of people who are actually living like this, who are living like what I'm just speaking to you right now. The people that have been taught under me, my disciples who have been taught to live like this, and they will come with their stories and what they are doing, how they're using time, the worth of time, to build a great life for themselves. You could use the worth of time to build your great life. Nothing greater than that. Nothing. You are already wealthy, and it is a pity that we are all crying that we don't have this, we don't have time, when we are already equipped with the greatest wealth and the greatest resource and the greatest treasure that is on earth. Now, I want you to go and share the link for this program. Please go look for your share button. Go look for your share button and go and share this link right now. Go and share the link. Go and share the link right now, okay? Let's go and share the link. And meanwhile, I'll be expecting your comments. I've not even seen the comments. I've not seen the comments. Let's hear your comments. Let's hear what you have to say about what you are hearing. I want to hear your comments, okay? Sandra says, great and profound teaching. Time is so precious and must be invested wisely. Jake okay, say, the greatest treasure on earth is time. Galina Kirishenka, this teaching is true. I have a product after losing a job. I created a family game. Let's live in harmony, it's called, in 2 months after I was fired. We should use time in the right way. In my case, God's idea became a reality. She converted an idea that she got from God to create a product in 2 months. And she was working all her life. She never could produce a product because the job didn't give her the time. She was busy working. And because she was busy working, she never had time to convert anything. But because she had all the time now, in 2 months, she was able to create a game, a product, a live product. Charles Oyewusi say, use time to add value to yourself. Dotun Alabi say, timely investment, momentous excellence. Charles says, if you understand the resource called time, you will be able to use it judiciously. Jake okay said, when you are fired from your job, celebrate your independence. Don't rush into another job immediately. Use and convert time to discover and invest yourself and your calling. And invest in yourself and your calling. Adetoyoshe Adewale said, God created us the same time, gave us the same time. How do we work out the differences in development from one continent to another? Our God is not a wicked God. Well, it's one of the reasons is because of the attitude of time. If in any country or continent, just like when I am using 1 hour now to do what you are using 1 hour to do what you are doing, and other people are just playing around. You have a product, they don't have a product. The same with a country. Any country that doesn't have value will never develop. They don't have value for time. If they are not having value for time, it means that they are trivializing time. It means that they are not converting that time of the wealth that they have to development. They are not converting their time to industry. They are not converting their time into creation. They are not converting their time into producing products. So they don't have products. They don't have creation. They don't have anything to show for it because they are not creating anything with their time. So anybody or any nation that trivializes time is actually attracting poverty and attracting confusion and disillusionment. So one of the greatest things that a country could do for themselves is to teach the citizens how to convert time, how to value time, and how to not to trivialize time, and how to convert time into a product or service every minute of the day. So God created us. It's not the fault of God. It's what you do with time. God gave everybody the same. Yesterday said, whatever you spend your day building and investing upon will determine how restful your night will be. Time waits for no man. Let us invest our day in doing the three best points as taught today by Pastor Sunday, so that during our night time, when we are weak and are supposed to be resting, we won't be running helter-skelter. Teach us to number our days, Lord. Thank you, Pastor Sunday. Amubo said, use time to create the likeness of God in yourself. Shao say, you can use time to copy the character of God. Doris Keleshi say, Write down the perfect and imperfect of you and start converting them to what you want to be. Matthew Fagan said, thanks again for adding value to others. Yvette says, the law of time is so important. I need to adjust my business process. Patience is the key in the process. Rufus Osaz says, the essentiality of time is seen in the Bible because God introduced time first before creating things, and man so as to show how important time is. Time governs the earth, is a ruler. Bola Luro said, alert credit, your account has been credited with 24 hours of time and life by the author of life today. What will you do with it? The foolish waste their time in frivolity, the mediocre spend in the pursuit of earthly things with no eternal value, but the wise invest in their purpose, what they were created for, not just to make and to earn money. So teach us to count our days that we may gain a heart of wisdom. May God help us to invest our time, life in the service of God and humanity, and not just for ourselves. God blessings. I have a book that is called Life is Time. If you don't have that book, go to Time is Life. Time is Life. My book on this subject is called Time is Life. If you don't have that book, you can go and get it on Amazon or on Okada Books, I think. Time is Life. Or Time is Life. Yetunde said, soul lifting and soul inspiring message. Never will I waste my time in non-productive things ever again. Job loss is not the life loss. Rather, job loss is reflection time and wake up time. Yep. Terigi says, God bless you, Pastor Sunday, for investing in me this morning. I'm not the same again. I'm glad for the opportunity. Shalom. Shegun Adaju, wow, long time, Shegun. How are you doing? I had to leave a job for some reasons, and God led me to solitude to meditate. It took me also to Genesis chapter 1:1-4, especially verse 3. Let there be light. It gave me the idea of solar energy to bring light to the world. Today, I own the Solar Direct brand in Nigeria. That is one of the leading solar energy companies in the country. Wow. Brilliant, brilliant. You see, you lost your job is a blessing. Afoma said, invest your time into person you want. You add value first to yourself and then to others. Time is the source of all things. Wow, my life cannot be the same again. God bless you, Pastor. Glory Baye said, this is a wake-up call for me, man of God. Wealth is time, and time is wealth. Very powerful teaching. Thank you, sir. I just got saved all over again. Cynthia Mene said, thank you, Pastor. Your teaching is mind-shifting and life-transforming. Always a great investment listening to you. Many blessings saying that. Doris said, thank you, sir. Your teaching are just wonderful. Now I know what to do to make the best of time, of me. God bless your work, sir. What an eye-opener. Charles Oyewusi said, if all of you do trade your time for money, when you retire, you will realize that you have wasted time and you might end up working till you drop. A sad truth. Onyeye Okoro said, I wish I could buy back the time I wasted. Abraham Great said, I created an immigration law firm after missing a job. I created a publishing business and property management instead of looking for a job. Brilliant. Hi, Pastor Great. Edwin and Mimi said, kindly get to read Pastor Sunday's book, Time is Life. Ronke Kennedy said, great teaching, Pastor. Now I will start using my time wisely. Cynthia says, thank you, Pastor. Your teachings are eye-opening, mind-shifting. Blessings, man. Sheyi